3, 2, 1, 0.
The promised land.
Good morning, everybody. How are you all doing? Sam here, United People's TV, kicking off another busy week in the lives of Manchester United fans and Manchester United. Off the pitch, we're speaking about the takeover. We're speaking about the Qatari bid. We're speaking about the Glazers. And reports this weekend, confirmed reports, that Elliott Group have come in, a US hedge fund, offering the Glazers maybe a different sort of investment. It's basically worst case scenario, in my opinion anyway, in terms of what the new ownership structure of Manchester United could be. I'm going to run through all of that this morning with you. We're going to be speaking about the game against Leicester yesterday. Man, from a footballing perspective, there's so much positivity running through every single fibre of this club right now. And we'll be speaking about that. We'll speak about Sancho, about Marcus Rashford, about Erik ten Hag, about everything. And look at what we've got coming up. We've got Barcelona on Thursday. We've got a cup final on Sunday. It's a big week. You can see the green and gold is back here. And I tell you what, I might just leave this here until they are fucking gone, just in case. Who's down there in the comments? Good morning to everyone. Raman, good to see you there. We've got DJ. We've got Carl. Good morning to you from New Zealand, as always. Vicky, you're there. Mo. We've got T. We've got Josh. We've got Ant. We've got Paula. We've got Alan Doyle watching on Facebook. Good morning to you. Gary, Kyle, Gary Burton. Gary's all over the shop. Teresa, Phil. Good morning to every single one of you. Before we do start the show, I want to make sure I share this link one more time, because that there is the link to enter the competition to win 2 Club Wembley level tickets. Honestly, it really is the biggest giveaway we've done so far on United People's TV. I can't wait. I'm going to the game. Really looking forward to it. It's been a while since I've been able to go to a game, because it's the ultimate irony, really, of the United People's TV. Because me going to a game means I can't particularly do my job quite as in-depth as I could if I wasn't going to the game, which, as I said, is the ultimate irony. But I'm looking forward to actually getting to go to the cup final, meeting up with the lads. And I'll tell you what else is happening today, which doesn't normally happen. And it's going to be something new from now on. The podcast will be out, I think, at 10:30. There's a new release schedule for the podcast. We're going to be doing 2 podcasts a week instead of 1. Because Man United are playing 2 times a week, every single week. I think after the cup final, we've got West Ham in the cup. So I think after the week after that, I think we have a midweek break. But it's just been so busy that you can't get everything into one podcast. So the podcast will be released today. You'll definitely notice some differences, a real step up in the production quality of the podcast. I'm really excited about it. But yeah, this is just all the levels up. The community is getting bigger and better. And I think the podcast will be too. I mean, literally it is again twice a week instead of 1 a week. So make sure you do listen to that. That'll be going out at 10:30 to wherever you listen to your podcasts. Let's speak about one thing, though, to start with here. And this is a big problem for me, because unfortunately, Erik ten Hag he's exposed himself as a liar, and he's done so much good here. But I don't get why he's lying when he's saying this. When he's saying he can't perform magic, you goddamn liar, Eric. Man, what United are doing right now, game after game, win after win. Just the way that we are playing football as a team. Tell you what, first half against Leicester was. It was kind of like Leeds, wasn't it? But that's just from where we were after Brighton and Brentford to where we are now, absolutely lying, because it is magic. Nobody could ever have expected it. Now, it's another weekend where some points were dropped around us in the league. Arsenal just overcoming Villa with 2 late goals. City dropping points to Nottingham Forest. Who had that in their predictions? Nobody. Did Newcastle drop points as well? Can't remember. No. Oh, yeah, they did. They lost against Liverpool. Yes, please. Yes, please. Just keep game after game just going through, and just this man being our manager. As I said, from a footballing perspective, everything is coming up Millhouse right now. And we've got such a big week coming up. And this is the sort of week where Manchester United should be having. We should be welcoming Europe's biggest teams to Old Trafford. Not in the Europa League, but it's going to be a cracking game. I think it's going to be full tilt, just like that game was at the Nou Camp. And then we've got a cup final on Sunday. Newcastle without Nick Pope after he got a red card. Idiot. a red card for Newcastle against Liverpool. So Loris Karius is going to be playing a goal because Dubravka's cup-tied against United. Genuinely quite hilarious. Tina, you're saying, look, if the Tinas sell, I hope it's a full sale and not just some stakes. We need them gone. Well, we do, Tina. And I'll be speaking about that a little bit later in the show, all right? The first 10, 15 minutes or so, we're going to be speaking through the Leicester game, speaking about the individuals, speaking about Ten Hag, and then we're going to focus on the big updates on the new owners and the takeover and the latest on the Qatari bid, INEOS. Man, it's last couple of weeks have been absolutely mad here on United People's TV. It's covering it. As I said, it feels like a privilege to be able to cover it. It's what I always wanted to do. It's why I did a journalism diploma. It might be a different form of it. I suppose back of when I did it, I was expecting to just go right for a newspaper, but things change. And the community we got here is absolutely wonderful, man. It really, really is. I think Gungshi is down there doing what Gungshi does. And of course he is. Gungshi is down there and Claus. Santa Claus, indeed. Sigmund used to be called Santa Claus, but quite literally, Claus Nielsen, you're gifting 5 memberships alongside Gungshi and Alex as well. All of you, man. I can't wait until we do some sort of meetup at some point. It'll be absolutely class. I can actually buy you all some drinks. Definitely. Although I don't want to speak about drinking after the weekend, all right? Let's not speak about that. Eric Ten Hag was speaking about his future. He's saying, look, I like being here at United. And I'm here to thank fans for their confidence. I am going to give everything to be as good as possible for this club. And I don't think anybody could have possibly imagined that Manchester United would be in this position at this point in the season. Still the only team in Europe left in 4 competitions, or maybe the only team in England. I don't know whether it's the only team in Europe. Left in 4 competitions. Cup final on Sunday. Barcelona coming to Old Trafford on Thursday. Fifth round of the FA Cup against West Ham on the week after, I think, the cup final. I think so, anyway. It's just good times, man. It really is just good times that we are on the pitch anyway. And I tell you what, this is why he is the good manager, man. This sort of shit here. He was asked on what went wrong in the first half, and he goes, I don't have that much time with you. And it made me laugh, man. Because that first half against Leicester, let's be totally honest, like, what were we doing? What were we doing? I think that's why Garnacho probably went off at half-time. Down that left-hand side, Garnacho wasn't covering back and helping short enough. Leicester were doubling up. They were finding so much space and time down that left-hand side. And they could have and should have scored in that first half if it wasn't for 2 ridiculously good saves from David De Gea. That's peak David De Gea, right? Shot-stopping capability. Probably still the best shot-stopper in the league. We know full well that the goalkeeping role is developed. And I tell you what, me, Matt, and Bao, we spoke about that in quite a little bit of depth in this week's episode about De Gea, about the new contract, about whether or not we think he's going to stay. Oh, look down there. We've got Roy Keane in the comments. That's his job. Look, David De Gea, as far as shot stopping goes, it was fantastic. But yeah, Ten Hag was right he would have been absolutely fuming. He would have been fuming with that performance in the first half. Garnacho came off for Jadon Sancho. And then in that second half, I love that photo. I absolutely love that photo. Sancho and Rashford beaming smiles. Weghorst piggybacking Rashford, which I suppose technically is from a goal scoring perspective. Although I'm enjoying watching Weghorst. We'll speak about him in a little bit. Marcus Rashford, I think that's him on 23 goals for the season now. I think that's his best return ever in a single season. And it's the 20th of February. Type it in the comments here, right? How many goals do you think Marcus Rashford is going to finish this season on? Because we've got, how many? I think we've got 14 games left in the league. Let's have a look. Got 14 games left in the league. If Manchester United do what we should be doing, we should be having another, I don't know, 7. He's on 24 apparently. That 24 goals. There you go. 20. How many games? How many games are you going to have? Somewhat in and around the 20 mark. How many goals do you think he'll finish on if he's on 24 now? Let me go down here and see what you're saying. Paul, do you think he's going to be on 32? I reckon I don't know. The way he's playing, you'd definitely be backing him to score more than that. So, Alex, you're saying he's only going to score 6 goals between now and the end of the season. I just can't see it. I think it's more, genuinely. And I'll tell you what, kind of all might laugh at me for saying this. And you're going for 38. We were having the conversation on the podcast yesterday. I was like, why can't Rashford reach 40? Now, that might be a big shout. That might be a bit over over the top. Because of course, let's remember, 42 goals was the season for Ronaldo. That was when we won the double back in 2008, got the whole way to the final. He would be absolutely furious with himself now if he doesn't finish with over 30 goals this season. And I think he's probably aiming for 40. And that's why, that's my prediction. I reckon Rashford's going to finish on 40. Imagine Rashford finishes on 40. Woo! That would be good. Speaking of his new contract, David Ornstein said here that the United takeover is not a barrier to Rashford signing a new deal. Initial conversations over that long-term contract have already taken place and more are planned. And Fabrizio Romano saying the same thing. United are planning to insist for Rashford to sign a new contract. It is a top priority for Erik ten Hag. And I tell you what, I love this little photo that Sky Sports released there. I think it's a cracking little idea. It's just watching Marcus Rashford right now, man. It's just when he burst through against Leicester. Be honest with me in the comments. Were you screaming for him to pass it to Garnacho? Be honest. I wasn't. Because the way he's playing right now, like the confidence is on a different level. And that there really showed just how confident Rashford is. Because it was really, realistically, it was the safer, the smarter. I don't know. But a lot of the times you would have expected him to pass it across to him. But just the way that Marcus Rashford is playing in this moment of time, I expected him to score. He did. Absolutely rifled it in the corner. And the second goal as well. Yeah, lovely. We'll take that. VAR showed it. Wasn't offside. And it's just everything he touches right now turns to gold. And what a time for it for him to be in this form. We've got Barcelona coming to Old Trafford on Thursday. Honestly, anybody who's got a ticket for that game, enjoy yourself. Old Trafford on Thursday night, I just get the feeling it's going to be one of the best atmospheres that there has been at Old Trafford in a long, long time. And I think this season has kind of been the examples of those. Liverpool, for me, well, that's the only game I've fucking managed to get to this season so far. It's bad, isn't it? It really is bad, I know. But Liverpool, the atmosphere was amazing. City, I think the atmosphere would have been a level up. And I think this game there is something just a little bit different about games under the floodlights, aren't there? There just is. But Marcus Rashford, the way he's playing, just the way this whole team is playing. As I said, I have found myself across the course of this season. I've the amount of times I've said I find it so weird, the criticism that's aimed towards Bruno. And I'm like, why am I having to defend him? What on earth are you criticizing? It's because people expect every single pass to be sublime. And if it's not sublime, then just get fucking angry. Dude, yesterday, I think he created 9 chances, or 9 key passes, 2 assists. Dalot should have scored another one. That should have been 3 assists. Weghorst probably should have scored the header. That should have been 4 assists. Bruno Fernandes, I think we're looking at the captain. There's no way that the way that Bruno's playing this season. Now, of course, he is there as vice captain because Maguire's not in the starting 11, and he probably won't be in the Premier League anytime soon. I think we're looking at Manchester United's new captain here. And by the way, have a guess in the comments. How many games do you think Bruno Fernandes has missed in his entire career through injury? Type it in the comments, right? I want you. I'll be interested to see if you know this. Let me see what you're saying in the comments. Chetan, you're saying it's the same people who probably criticized Garnacho. Yeah, maybe you're right. And you're saying that people don't understand percentage football. It's just that you'd rather have. It's just that sort of player. You'd rather have somebody like Bruno who keeps trying and creates that pass rather than somebody who just doesn't do it at all. So many of you firing in some comments down here. And I tell you what, Josh, you're the first. The dude has missed 0 games in his career through injury. He's missed 2 games through illness. Like, that is a joke. That is genuinely a joke. I just saw the comment from you down there. Honestly, man, whatever this dude is doing, I don't know how he does it because of the style of play that Bruno has as well. It's full tilt. It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense. Akil saying, don't jinx him, Sam. Dude, he's been doing this his whole career. I don't think me saying it randomly on a Monday morning in February is going to change anything. And if it does, I'm so sorry. I will take full responsibility for that. But honestly, it's absolutely mad. It is ridiculous, his injury record and his reliability. Look, they say availability is a massive asset. And if you're looking at a captain, it's a big part of it. Bruno, man, I think we're looking at the new captain. I think, I've been waxing lyrical about Lisandro Martinez. I don't think Erik ten Hag can take that away from Bruno Fernandes at the end of the season. I don't think so anyway. And look, yesterday, as I said, positivity flowing everywhere. Jadon Sancho dropping into that number 10 role. What do you think about it? Because it's an interesting tactical switch, isn't it? Bruno Fernandes going wider on the right-hand side. Maybe that opens up a little bit more space for Bruno to be able to get that extra split second, head up, where does this ball need to go? Whereas in the number 10 role, you're surrounded by players, and typically that's where you've got to get those deft passes, those little cute passes round the corner, first time touches, and get a little bit more space when you're outside on the wide right. And maybe that helped Bruno against Leicester. But Jadon Sancho in the number 10, it feels like you get all the best characteristics of him there. He's somebody who likes receiving the ball in tight spaces, links up the play very well, very good at playing quick one-touch football, pass, move. I like Sancho in the number 10. Alex, you're saying, again, if we're looking at fluidity and part of the Ten Hag system, we covered this in the podcast this week. We can say, look, Bruno can play in the number 10 on the right-hand side. Sancho can play centrally, probably on the left or the right. Rashford can play on the left or through the middle. Weghorst can play number 10 or number 9. Options, man. And I tell you what, that gives United one big important word. Unpredictability. It's one of the biggest weaknesses of any team. If you look, Iron Robin was the king of the opposite side. I think you knew exactly what he was going to do, but you just couldn't stop him. But having that unpredictability makes United so dangerous going forward because you don't know which person to mark because they keep chopping, changing, switching. It's like, for fuck's sake, you can't stop it. And United right now, I think, I might get this stat wrong. I saw it. I think that means United have now scored 2 or more goals in 9 consecutive games, which I think is the first time since we won the title back in 2012. I might be wrong in saying that. Whatever it is, we are definitely scoring pretty well. Sandy is saying Wout is so good with his presence. His nickname should be Iron. People are calling him Workhorse as well. Dave, you're saying look like Ten Hag has found his best position. Ten Hag has he's helped Sancho so much. And Weghorst, I'm going to be speaking about Weghorst in the number 10 role. Sancho, Ten Hag, where is it? That photo there? He just knows what he is doing. He's very, very good, certainly from an in-game perspective. And Steve McLaren spoke about that before he even took the job. Ten Hag's ability to watch a game, to see what's wrong with a game, and to change that in real time, probably one of his greatest assets. Really, really is. And yesterday we saw it again. And it made a big, big difference. Somebody who I was impressed with yesterday is this. And I'll be honest, I've been pretty much impressed with Sabitzer since he started. He got the baptism of fire with Leeds home and away. I mean, talk about adjusting to the tempo of the Premier League. That was crazy, those 2 games. Quietly, I think he's just been doing exactly what Erik ten Hag brought him in for. That defensive work right there. Look, he made 11 ball recoveries against Leicester. I think what was it, 20 million euros? The reports suggesting that he was, mate, pay that ASAP Rocky. Hell yes. And we're still yet to see it. And I think we'll see it for the first time on Thursday night. Casemiro and Sabitzer as a midfield duo. That is going to be ridiculously secure. Fred, yesterday we saw peak good Fred and peak bad Fred. Gave the ball away, 4, 5, 6 times in the first half, just stupidly. Like, what you doing? But then got a wonderful assist for Rashford's second goal. Best and the worst of Fred. But Sabitzer looks to me like somebody that you can really rely on. And that's what you need in pretty much every footballer, but specifically, maybe not specifically, but I think so anyway. Central midfielders, you can't have them giving the ball away. Fred invited so much pressure on United in that first half. Stupidly. Naeem, you're asking whether or not he should have been sent off. Now, he went in high with his foot, yes. I wouldn't have been surprised if that was a red. But I think it was pointed out in the commentary, he didn't put his foot through. If he put his weight through his foot, I think it would have been a red, straight, violent conduct, 3 games. And I'm not sure anybody could really have complained about it. But he pulled his weight back. And obviously, I'm looking at red-tinted specs here. I think ultimately, I don't think any United fan would really have completely complained. Well, we certainly wouldn't have appealed it if he got sent off. Given the height of the tackle. SS, I would absolutely agree with that. From a freeze frame perspective, it didn't look good. But the fact that he did pull his weight off, put his weight away from that tackle, I think I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it not being red. I think let's just move on. But yeah, move on to it. Hey, look, Dudley, actually, it's a really good point. I didn't speak about him in my match reaction, but McTominay came on. Yeah, hello. Like a bit of that. McTominay came on. Kobbie Mainoo came on for his debut. Premier League debut. 17. He's mustard. He really is. And I told you, like, this is the perfect time for these youngsters. Garnacho and Mainoo to be coming from the FA Youth Cup to this. Perfect timing. He is the perfect manager for them. And I'm really looking forward to seeing him develop across the course of the season because he is a top tier prospect. He really, really is. And I can't wait to see how he continues to develop. But yeah, moving on to this man, right? Actually, Alex, this is a really good point before I do move on to this man. This is exactly what Ten Hag, right? There's 2 different ways that you can approach games. I suppose like Leicester, when you got Barcelona away and then Barcelona at home and you got a game against Leicester sandwiched in between where a lot of people are going to go, you kind of need to rotate. Ten Hag's style is to play his best players and then take them off after 60, 65, 70 minutes when the game is said and done. And it's exactly what he did yesterday. Rashford coming off, Luke Shaw coming off, McTominay going on, Mainoo going on. And exactly what Alex says down there, the pressure's not on. It's 2 different ways of management. The alternative way is to leave your best players on the bench, rely on your second 11, and if you need to, bring on those players. Ten Hag doesn't like to take that risk. Now, you could say there's a risk in playing those best players to start with. That's a debate. There's risks in either style. And I personally prefer this style. Start with your strongest players, reach the 60th minute, control the game, boom, take them off. Easy money. And that's what that game was in that second half. Great is not good enough. It's not good enough world domination. Let's hope so, eh? But look, can we speak about Weghorst, man? Again, a player who I feel like I've had to defend. And a player who I think is just showing himself as a real team player. Honestly, I felt really sorry for him. When United broke away, was it 3-0 in like the 88th minute, goes through to him. He's like, no, I can't finish. His finishing is not good enough right now. But let's be completely honest. If his finishing was that good, he probably wouldn't have been available on a free transfer in January. But from a team perspective, Gary Neville spoke about him after the game. He said this. He goes, look, I love Wout Weghorst. There was always debate with Ronaldo last season. They couldn't press. Weghorst is very good in transition for United and defending at set pieces. He's doing a vital job for a team with attacking talent. It would be interesting to see if Weghorst continues and United have a good season and Ten Hag signs him. I like him. He's given his all on the pitch. He would probably be fourth striker. And I think that is pretty much an absolutely spot-on analysis from Gary Neville. I think Weghorst will be signed on a one-year deal. I think we'll go out and we'll spend big on a striker. And Weghorst will be there inside this squad, and he'll be really look. You see what he offers to this team. Jonathan, you don't think he'll stay in the summer? I disagree. I think we're looking at a very low cost, profiled player who can, if we need to, be relied on to do the job. Now, it might not be scoring goals, but look, is scoring goals a problem right now for Manchester United? No. Is he helping the team? I would say yes. Now, obviously, he's going to have to improve his goal return. No doubt whatsoever. But the way that Manchester United are doing, I see no problem. Absolutely no problem in Weghorst staying as a squad player next season. Right now, he's starting every single game because Martial, well, he can't be relied on whatsoever. And Ronaldo decided to get himself sacked halfway through a season. Needs must. He's doing a job. I'd be very surprised if he didn't sign a one-year deal. I said it before he kicked a ball for United. If he comes in and does a job, I can see him staying. And let's find out. Right, last couple of points here before we move on to the big conversation about the takeover. David De Gea, I have to give him his credit where it is due. Yesterday, he equaled Peter Schmeichel's 180 clean sheets at Manchester United. Made two outrageous saves. Outrageous saves in that first half. Peak David De Gea, I think we call it. I still question, and as I said, we spoke about this in quite a bit of depth in the podcast this week. I don't know whether United are going to give him a new contract. I don't know whether United should be giving him a new contract. And that is a debate for another day. It really is. But yesterday, we saw Pete De Gea, right? Fantastic. Well done to him. And it kind of reminded us of the old United, really, that first half, didn't it? Just like watching United invite pressure on ourselves and needing David De Gea to dig us out of a hole. That's what happened in that first half. I could put a poll up there, but I'll leave that for the time being because we need to move on to speak about the big new thing now. Yes, Eric, what direction are we going? Yeah, we're going upwards. But we are now going to be speaking here about the bids. The Manchester United takeover is the big story, is the focus, and where our energy needs to be as a fan base and where our focus needs to be. Now, playing football every 3 days makes it a bit difficult. Hence why we're nearly half an hour into this this chat. And we haven't even mentioned it yet. Lucky Phil is saying, nope, Sabitzer was he was suspended for the game at Barcelona. He's not suspended for this one. It was a yellow card, 3 yellow cards that he picked up for Bayern Munich in the group stages. And then he had a 1-match suspension, which he served. So he should be back and Casemiro's back. I imagine both of them will start. Then I think Fred will come on. Let's find out. I covered everything. Like, as I said, last couple of weeks has been wild. I don't know how to describe it. Just everything happening at this football club and the takeover. Now, on Friday, the bid went in, the Qatari bid, led by Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani, if I remember correctly. I think I did, actually. Go me. And Sir Jim Ratcliffe's INEOS. They are the two main bids that went in. There's been more developments, and I will run through it now. All right? Give me a few minutes. Let's run through this. And yeah, I'm nervous. I'll explain why. Now, we know about the statement from the Qatari bid, Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani, and we know full well what it means. 100% bid to buy Manchester United, a completely debt-free bid with investment in the football teams, the training centre, stadium, infrastructure, communities, everything. The vision is to get Manchester United back to be the biggest club in the world. And I said at the time, I found it a bit weird and strange. Why was the INEOS statement just like a little blurb from an INEOS source? We now have the full statement from INEOS. Let's read through this together. We can confirm that Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS have submitted a bid for majority ownership of Manchester United Football Club. We would see our role as the long-term custodians of Manchester United on behalf of the fans and the wider community. We are highly ambitious and highly competitive, and would want to invest in Manchester United to make them the number one club in the world again. We also recognize that football governance in this country is at a crossroads. We would want to help lead this next chapter, deepening the culture of English football by making a club a beacon for modern progressive fan-centered approach to ownership. We want a Manchester United anchored in its proud history and roots in the northwest of England, putting the Manchester back into Manchester United and clearly focused on winning the Champions League. Now, I spoke about how impressed I was really, genuinely, by the wording of this statement. They'd obviously done the research. They obviously know what they're doing. They know what they need to say. And I was impressed. I don't think that INEOS did themselves any favor by waiting this extra day. And I still kind of stand by that. Both of them, let's be honest, both of them are PR statements, right? Okay. That's what they are. Public relations to get the fans on board. This, however, is something a little bit different altogether. We've got confirmation now that Jim Ratcliffe's bid to buy Manchester United is for 69% of the club. Okay. Now, what does that mean? That means that INEOS's bid to buy Manchester United is different to what the Qatari bid is. The Qatari bid, as we can see down here, right there, 100% of Manchester United. Okay. 69% would be INEOS buying the Glazers out and Manchester United remaining on the stock market. That means the other 31%, which is publicly owned, that's publicly traded shares, they would stay out there. And INEOS would take all that. The Glazers would still be gone, all right? I'm not here saying that the Glazers wouldn't be gone, but that 31% is currently available on the open market. And I'll be honest, there was we had this conversation on the podcast this week, and Bal made a really, really good point. And I think it's stuck in my head, right? And that's this. Let me pull this back up there. Where's that? That one there. There would definitely be part of me that would be fearful and worried of what would happen to that 31%. Because you'll all remember how the Glazers took ownership of Manchester United in the first place. Bit by bit, they systematically bought shares, bought a group of shares, bought that until they reached a point where they had to, I think they owned 75%, and they were then obliged to put in a bid to buy Manchester United. What would stop somebody else just kind of sweeping those shares up bit by bit? And then we'd reach a point then where Jim Ratcliffe owned 69% and somebody else owned 30%. You don't know who that person could be. And that's something that the Qatari bid gets rid of completely. It's a 100% ownership bid. Now, my video that's going to be going out at lunchtime today is we're going to take a step back and we're going to properly compare these two bids. Word for word, compare them side by side. Because the one thing I've said here, and I apologize, I know there's a couple of super chats there, and I'll read them out in a bit. But I want to say this, and it's something I've said all the way through. I've scrutinized every single ownership bid of Manchester United, and I will continue to do so with Qatar and everything else. But I want what is best for Manchester United. And that is what is driving, in my opinion, as to what will be the best bid. I want what's best for my football club, ultimately. And I'll be honest, I'm a little bit scared of what a 69% bid would mean for United. I'm even more scared of what could happen if the Elliott Group and the investment and the hedge fund that they are offering, the Glazers, could go through. That scares the shit out of me, and we're moving on to that next. Jordan, you're saying Sabitzer or Veghorst, if you could only keep one. No, I'm keeping both. Go away. Terrible question. Don't have to choose one. Tommy, you sent a super chat, but you didn't put anything in there. And Vincent, big up to you for the super sticker, dude. V33 saying Elliott name popped up. I'm having PTSD. I think we kind of all are, really. And Tommy, you're saying apparently the Glazers are mad at the Qatari statement as it publicly shows them up as poor owners. We've seen this as well. Do you know, genuinely, do you know how hilarious this concept is? Just think about it. Just like, oh, what? I'm offended. Yeah, because you're shit owners. You've been abysmal owners for 20 years. When you're going to get offended because someone called you out on it. Fucking hell. Man, your ego must be ridiculous for that to be the truth. Do not be surprised if people call you out on your bullshit. If you're a bullshit artist and somebody calls you out on it, do not be offended by it because it's the truth. You are crap owners. All right? You're abysmal owners. The idea that stop attacking us. Stop it. Fuck off. Come on, man. What the hell? Jeez. But anyway, I feel like I'm kind of ranting a little bit here. Yeah, I apologize about that, Tobias. Shouldn't be putting that on here. Should be on rotten.com. Everyone, is rotten.com still a website? Man, I remember that in uni. School, actually. We've got Mike Keegan here confirming that there's actually not going to be a Saudi Arabia bid, which I'm a little bit surprised about. And I'm a little bit happy about. I'll be completely honest. Don't think if we're having conversations about a Qatari bid, we don't need to be having conversations about a Saudi Arabia bid as well. Let's just focus here on the one bid. But this is where it gets worrying. All right. I apologize if we've been a little bit late in the show here, but as I said, it's very, very busy. Richard, I definitely shouldn't do stand-up because that'd be absolutely abysmal. Sometimes I come out with a little nugget, and that's about it. The Times reported this on Saturday afternoon, actually. The US hedge fund, Elliott Group, has joined the race to buy Manchester United. Let's read through the story, and then I'm going to go to the update from Mark Ogden. The American hedge fund giant Elliott has entered the £5 billion bidding battle for Manchester United in an extraordinary 11th hour swoop. And this is what Mark Ogden is saying on this situation. The Glazer family has been offered the financial backing to remain as owners of Manchester United by Elliott Management. Elliott's emergence in the sale process of United opens up the prospect of Jordan Abraham Glazer retaining an interest in the club, despite deep-rooted opposition from the fan base against them. And I'll be completely honest, this does scare me. Now, I want you to let me know what you think about this in the comments below. I mean, I know what you think about this in the comments below. But are you worried about it? Genuinely worried about it? Right? Yeah, I am worried. I have to admit, I am worried. Because we've always had that niggling voice at the back of our mind saying, if the Glazers can somehow find somebody dumb enough to give them the money to invest in the club, then they could take it. Now, they tried to buy out their own siblings, went to Apollo Management previously, and Apollo said no, basically. Part of me is just hoping this is nothing more than, I suppose, a little bit of a negotiation tactic, but also part of me realizes it's a massive negotiation tactic, all right? Just to go to an investment fund with no real intention of actually wanting that investment and to get them to agree to it just to sort of try and gain an upper hand in an argument. There's a rather extreme way of going about things. I'm hoping that is exactly what's happening, and I'm hoping this is nothing more than a negotiation tactic. But it scares me. And this is exactly why the job of fans vocalizing our protests against the Glazers and everything cannot stop until that statement is confirmed. Manchester United can confirm the full sale of Manchester United to X, and the Glazers are gone. I'm going to go down here and see what you're saying in the comments. There's a super chat there. Let me not miss that before I move down and read some of your comments. Judy, you're saying it's a big no for you. And Teresa, look, you're not the only one who's scared. I'll be honest, I'm a little bit scared as well. Dave, you're saying even as businessmen, they're terrible. Literally put a banker in charge of a football club if they were contact. Hey, look, I said that in the podcast this week as well. I said, look, the Glazers were just fortunate that their dad, Malcolm, bought Manchester United. Because it was just a golden ticket asset with so much power and legacy that they didn't have to invest anything and they made a ton of money. They're crap businessmen. They really are. Now, you might disagree with that because they've made an absolute ton of money without actually putting any money in. But yeah, look at if they had put money in, the investment potential would have increased exponentially and they would have made more. No, they're shit businessmen. I don't want anybody else suggesting that they're not. Gary Neville has had his say on this situation. He said this as well. He goes, look, I think what scares United fans the most is this feeling that United ownership this United ownership are running this process to drive a massive price up to try and somehow establish a level, which means two of them can stay and the rest can be bought out. And we are concerned about it, right? We are, and we absolutely should be. Until they are gone, they're still here, obviously. That's how it works. But until they truly are gone, we have to be mindful. I want you to in fact, I'm going to do this as a poll, right? Okay, let me put this down here. Do you think this Elliott Group investment offer is just a negotiation tactic? Type yes or no. Simple poll, this one. I'll be interested to know what you think about that. Because part of me thinks it probably just is that. But then part of me thinks, I mean, Elliott Group would have to be willing to give that investment to reach this stage. And would they just simply do that just to help the Glazers? Maybe the Glazers just lying to Elliott Group as well. Tim, you're saying P-Test may become unpeaceful if the Glazers stay. Unfortunately, that would help the Glazers. And it's a big thing I would say there with that comment there. Anything that happens in the future, I'm going to speak to the 58 and going forward, the protests have to remain peaceful. Otherwise, the narrative gets switched and it becomes something that helps the Glazers rather than hurts the Glazers. You have to remember that. As much as I think part of you might be right, but that won't help United. It won't help United fans. It will only help the Glazers if it becomes unpeaceful. But you can let me know in the comments what you think there. Minty's high tea. You heard it here first. The Glazers will stay. I wish I could ban you for that comment. But no, so it's just an opinion. I'm only joking. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. This is probably a big thing I'm going to be holding on to here. These offers are going to be mind-boggling amounts of money they're about to make. And as I said, if you're talking about good or bad businessmen, for them to make, so basically we're looking at around about 5 billion. Money's going to be going through the Cayman Islands because that's where United are registered. It's going to be like tax-free money, the arseholes. For them to make that much, for them to stay at Manchester United and to make that much money, you know how long that would take? You know how much investment would be required? You know, years of work. Again, they're shit businessmen. If they then decide to keep it on and go, no, actually, we're going to stay here for X amount of years and try and earn X amount of money over X amount of years. Fuck. But I am worried. The bonus of being in finance is having a different view. Glazers will go out being a hero helping the club. This is just a negotiation tactic. Well, that's what I put in the poll there, Zusp. And let me have a look at what you're all saying down here in the comments. Well, not on the poll, actually. Because we've got 630 votes there in the first 2 minutes. Always makes me smile, man. Just how engaged you all are as a community. It's the biggest compliment you can ever give to the channel, along with the generosity that you give with all the gifted memberships, inviting others into the party too. But 60% of you think this is a negotiation tactic, and 40% of you think no. I'm definitely split on this one. I say they're shit businessmen, but it would be a smart business tactical move, wouldn't it? To do this and to strike the fear into people. Man, that's their fucking ownership model. What, like coercion and fear? What is this, like Cold War Russia? But that's the position we're in. I'm not saying that we're owned by, well, we're not. You get what I mean. Or maybe you don't. But I did a lot of Russian history. Just get the fuck out, man. Please. Please, just get out. I wonder what the process is now. What do you reckon is going to happen? So it's like the 20th of February now. The bids are in. How long do we wait before we hear an update on this? I don't know, actually. I don't know what the next point and the next stage is. We'll find out. I'm going to go down and read a few of your comments. Gary, you're saying, look, shares too high for them to stay would drop like the Titanic. I think you're right there. I think the Manchester United share price is above $27 now, which I think is the highest it's ever been. I imagine when this happened, this news, the market's not opened yet, is it? I'll be interested to see if there's going to be a drop in the market. There might be some pre-market percentages. If anybody knows them, let me know in the comments. They're not going quietly, which is ironic given the fact that they've hidden from fans forever. Jeez. It's a very good comment there and a very good point. Why can't they just... I don't know. Jonathan, I think you're right here. But maybe in that sense, it's the Glazers who are lying to Elliott, the Elliott Management. That they're just simply doing this with absolutely no intention of taking on that investment, but simply to improve their own position from a negotiation perspective, because they know realistically what they're asking for is more than what Manchester United are valued at. I think the world record sports franchise sale is, I think it was 4.25, 4.75 Denver Broncos. I think that's the biggest one so far. Can't remember which one it is. Either way, the bid from the Qatar, well, we're hearing 5 billion. If it's £5 billion, it's way in excess of anything there. The Denver Broncos. Are there any other bids that haven't gone public yet? No, Richard. Not as far as we know. We now know the Ellie Group are in, but that's going to be from an investment perspective. We know that INEOS are in, but that's for 69% of Manchester United. And as far as we know, the only 100% offer to buy Manchester United is coming from the Qatari bid. And that's what my video is going to be focusing on today. Looking at the Qatari bid in full, analyzing the statement, seeing what they're pledging, comparing it to the INEOS bid side by side, so we can make a fair judgment and assessment on what the best bid is for Manchester United Football Club, because that is the bid that has to become that becomes our new owner. Sorry, the bid which is the best for the club, and that also will take on board any scrutiny that we have about Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS and their issues, and any scrutiny that we would have about Qatari ownership and anything to do with that. And I will, there's plenty of content. There is plenty of content coming up in the weeks with everything to do with this. Now that the madness of it is all settled a little bit, now that the bids are in, we can take a little bit of a step back and say, right, what are the conversations that we need to have? Let's have them. And I'll do all that content here on United People's TV. So if you're not, I'm sure there are loads of people watching now. What have we got? 3,000, over 3,000 of you watching, man. The growth of the channel and the community, it makes me prude. I like it, man. I love it. It's awesome. And you're all making it happen. So please, if you could, make sure you subscribe. I'm sure there's plenty of you watching that haven't watched this before. It's a genuine community. It's interactive. I answer as many of your questions and comments as I can across the course of the day. What's the bid? What's the poll saying now? We've got over 1,000 votes. 61% of you think it's just a negotiation tactic. And I hope 61% of you are correct. Filmer, you're saying, Sam, I want the Glazers out, but I'm sad. You guys are okay with a state-owned business. And look, at what point have I ever said I'm happy with it? I think it's abundantly clear that I'm not happy with it. So it's abundantly clear that so many United fans aren't happy with it. And I will question and scrutinize it. So don't throw that accusation at me. But what I want is the absolute best for Manchester United and for that bid to win. Will that be the Qatari bid? Well, we'll assess and we'll analyze. Let's go down here. Dave, you're saying that that's why they employed the Rain Group to push the price up at any cost. Yeah, I imagine that tactic, if it is a negotiation tactic, it probably came from the Rain Group, not the Glazers. Fucking dumbasses. I think interestingly, the Qatari bid, I believe they hired the Bank of America as advisors. Nothing to shit yourselves over. It's almost like you need advice when you're doing a deal of this scale. That's just standard. That's absolutely standard practice. So I won't worry about that. Abdi, you're saying everyone that worries about Qatar will become 100% owner of United. No, there's a lot of United fans that are worried about a Qatari takeover. And I think we absolutely fairly should scrutinize all of that. And I understand the worries. I'd be more concerned if you just looked at the Qatari bid, stuck your head in the sand and said, yeah, give me the oil money. I'm not going to have a conversation about everything else, which I really should be having a conversation about. That's a more concerning position for me than fairly scrutinizing something properly. Or you're saying, Sam, what if the other 31% of shares don't sell to the Qatar 100% bid? Well, no, that's not what it is. I don't think that wouldn't be their choice, because actually I don't know what the financial structure of that is, because presumably at that point Manchester United wouldn't be a PLC anymore, and I imagine the Glazers have the ability as owners of the football club to make that decision. Look, Class A shares have no voting rights. I imagine if they vote to then sell 100% of the club, then everybody who owns those shares will be fairly paid out at X amount per share. Bit like when Twitter went private, right? You can do it. You can do it. And Alex is a good question there. By the way, big up to Joanne and FP. This week, your questions that you sent in with a voice note, they're in the podcast, which is cool. I didn't get all of them in because we are going to choose 1 or 2 per week. But any members, if you send in voice notes into the group chat on Telegram now, 1 or 2 of your questions, every single podcast episode will be brought into the podcast. It's another perk of being a member. The only place you can do that, send those voice notes, is inside that Telegram members chat. It's cool. I like it, man. Let's get that off screen. I'll read a couple more of your comments out there before we wrap it up. Garlic Bread Man saying it could be a negotiation tactic if you're a Glazer. It gives you the option of having your cake and eating it too, without letting go of the gut. Yeah, to a point, yes. But by the way, big up Garlic Bread Man. I love Garlic Bread. Everyone loves Garlic Bread. To a point, because that golden goose right now could get you 5 billion. We're talking 9 zeros. And you want to go back to earning 25 million, roughly, per year on dividends. You do the maths about how many years that would take. What is it? 4 years for 100 mil. So 40 years for 1 billion. 40 years for 1 billion. Let's times that by 5. Is that 200 years? Have I just done that? 2 centuries? I might have done that wrong. The math's wrong. But 5 billion is a bigger pay to stay and just have, I don't know. It would just be, Paula. Oh my God, you've actually just made me stop. Never eaten garlic bread. What's going on? Barry's Barry's gone to the Philippines. He's having a couple of weeks holiday. He got a bit exhausted standing up on the mannequin the whole time. Giles, you're saying if Glazer stay, United will be bankrupt in a year. They will take all that. Imagine they did that. They start, you absolutely could imagine that. They start siphoning funds away. Big up to UFP. Thank you for sending in your voice note. But look, man, Paula, you really knocked me. You knocked me off my kilter there. Who hasn't had garlic bread? Come on. Anyway, that's a full roundup. I wouldn't say this is something to absolutely crap yourself over, but it's absolutely something that we need to make sure that we focus on, and we keep an eye on everything. I hope it's a negotiation tactic. If I look down at the results of the poll, 1,300 votes there, and 64% of you think it is a negotiation tactic. I hope you're correct. All right? I really, really hope you're correct. Let's find out what goes on next. I'll be here tomorrow with all the biggest updates. Today, the focus on my lunchtime video is going to be fairly taking away opinions, purely from a factual perspective. What's the INEOS bid? What's the Qatari bid? Put them side by side. Which one looks better? That's going to be my lunchtime video. Big up to everyone who's subscribed. Big up to anybody who's just part of the community, man. It's wicked. Now, the podcast, I believe, has gone out as we've been live here. Look at that. The magic of the internet. Hopefully you enjoyed that episode. The production of it has really, really gone up another level. I think you'll really enjoy that. Big up to you, Gungshi, man. Drop in another 5 memberships there. Min, you're lucky enough to get one. The Big Mavinsky. Mate, big up the Big Lebowski. I haven't watched that film in a good few years. Lee, Natasha, and Yogi. All of you, welcome aboard. I'll see you tomorrow morning live and direct, and I'll be here back at lunchtime for another video. But until then, take it easy.